This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
My countrymen and my friends, I had hoped against hope that some miracle would prevent a devastating war and bring to an end the invasion.
This most serious threat World Wrestling Federation has ever known.
The long-term future of sports entertainment could change forever.
A succession of actual wars have shaken the entire world and have threatened to bring on the gigantic conflict, which is today, unhappily, a fact.
No force of nature and no act of God could stop this invasion from happening.
I have said not once but many times that I have seen war and that I hate war.
This is our last chance.
There's no going back. There is no tomorrow. They want to finish us off.
Feel this moment for the rest of your life!
This war is only half over, and it could damn well be lost.
We're laying it all on the line.
Nothing can stop the WCW and ECW.
Austin is going to lead us into invasion.
Lift up your heart. All will come right.
We will kick WCW and ECW's.
No WWF superstar is going to deny us from our destiny.
Dad! The sports entertainment!
I have seen war and I hate war.
Place to be Nation. Welcome back to another episode of Nation Invasion. I am your host, James Gruenberg, and tonight we are going over Raw from September 24th, 2001, and Smackdown September 27th, 2001, the week after Unforgiven. There's a lot of title changes going on as wrapped up, and a couple of releases. But before we get there, I have a guest with me as always. You can find him on the Nation Wrestling feed. He is Luke Jennings. Luke, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, James. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Yeah, but I started from May 28th, 2001, and here we are at the week after Unforgiven 2001. It's been a whirlwind of where the Alliance started to how it's going now. Now, Luke, were you watching Raw and SmackDown during this time period? Like, were you an avid wrestling fan? Did you know what was going on with everything?
Avid wrestling fan. Was only probably watching the pay-per-views, but you could kind of obviously mingle every. You could find what was going on in between the pay-per-views because of the recaps and everything that they do fantastically well. Raws and Smackdowns wasn't really watching them, but so yeah, when I've watched these two shows, and it was a sort of a refreshing reminder of what was back in the day.
Yeah, so like I said, we are going over the Raw and SmackDown after Unforgiven. Unforgiven was a very good show, especially for the WWF. We had Kurt Angle finally beat Stone Cold for the WWF title. The Rock retained the WCW title versus Booker T and Shane McMahon. We have a new Intercontinental Champion, that's Christian. Rob Van Dam retained his hardcore title versus Chris Jericho. Christian defeated Edge. Rhino defeated Tajiri for the WCW United States title, so he brings the title back to the Alliance side. The Dudleys defeated the Hurricane and Lance Storm, Big Show and Spike Dudley, and the Hardy Boys in a fatal four-way match for the WWF title, so they stay in the Alliance. And The Undertaker and Kane defeated KroniK for the WCW titles to retain the tag titles. Now, about that match with KroniK and The Undertaker and Kane, that is KroniK's last WWF appearance, as they would be released the following day. Right after Unforgiven 2001, it's been said that Undertaker was very, very pissed off at the match, and so was WWF management. They said they asked KroniK to go to OVW or Heartland. I believe it's Heartland Association. And they said, go here, get training, and we'll bring you back up. Now, Bryan Adams was all for going to WWF Heartland Association, but Brian Clark wasn't. So Clark gets released. Adams actually ends up going down to training, but then Bryan Adams would get released in November of 2001. So really, that was the last time we would see KroniK in the WWF. What are your thoughts on that?
I remember seeing the match, and then I remember reading about it maybe a year or so later that they got fired after the match, and couldn't really see an issue with it. It was basically, four big dudes just sort of moving about. There was, as far as I can remember, there was nothing really horrible about it, considering the Undertaker would then have horrible matches with Nathan Jones and A-Tray. Undertaker has a history of having not great matches with big men. It kind of was a bit then, or I think he was maybe using his power maybe a bit too much, but Bryan Adams and Brian Clark are okay. The Adam Bomb run back in the day was good. Crush was okay. He's had many different reincarnations of Crush, but they were all, you were never going to get a 5-star match out of either guys, but the match itself was okay and didn't really see an issue with it. But I'm guessing whoever is in power or was in power had an issue with them and probably just went, we didn't want these guys in the first place. This makes a perfect excuse just to get them out the door.
Yeah, it did seem that KroniK was the scapegoat if anything went wrong. Because you're from WCW and you're not from the WWF, even though you had both those guys in the WWF, so you know what they're capable of. Like, it's funny how Vince doesn't remember anything that happened in 1990 because they all came from WCW. And if they come from WCW, Vince doesn't know what the heck they did in WCW. To him, WCW doesn't exist. Everybody has to tell him, oh, this is what these guys did here. He has to have someone explain to him who KroniK is. Because
those two guys made their names more in the WWF than they did in WCW, because in WCW they were basically KroniK, and they hadn't been there. I don't think they'd been there that long in WCW, maybe late 99, early 2000. So they'd made their name in the WWF, being Crush, being Adam Bomb. So you'd have thought he would have remembered them from that experience. Because I think when Bryan Adams, when Brian Clark leaves in like 95, he's not really then seen until he goes back to WCW in the late 90s. And Crush, obviously, then he leaves around the Montreal Screwjob time and goes to WCW. But then his run in WCW in 97, 98, 99 isn't memorable because he's one of the NWO flunkies, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. So KroniK really got the raw end of the deal. They could slam people, they could jump, they could move. I don't understand what happened. So it sucks, but they're the ones who got the raw end of the deal here. Well, without further ado, let's get into our Monday Night Raw episode here. This is Raw, September 24th, 2001. We are live in Columbus, Ohio, so not that far from Pittsburgh or the state of Pennsylvania. We're in Columbus, Ohio. It's like right across the border, basically. We have a recap of Kurt Angle beating Stone Cold at Unforgiven. Paul Heyman saying, not Pittsburgh. Stone Cold cannot lose in Pittsburgh. And I thought that was a very funny line by Heyman. Heyman always had good commentary with Jim Ross, wouldn't you say, Luke?
Yeah, definitely. They're a very they had a very good dynamic in the early 90s in WCW, and then with Paul Heyman's association with the Alliance, that added a little bit more fuel to the fire, because you basically just get him saying something and then JR going over the top, screaming at him, cussing. Well, he's basically doing anything but cussing at him. But yeah, it's a very good Jim Ross being the WWF guy, and then Heyman being the Alliance guy. It's a very good mingling.
Yeah, they show the parking lot, and that's going to be a mainstay for these 2 episodes of Raw and SmackDown because they're waiting for Stone Cold to arrive. So now we kick off with a 6-man tag team match. It's Undertaker, Kane, and Bradshaw versus the Dudley Boys and Test. They're trying to make. I feel like this time they were trying to get away from the APA being a tag team, or at least Farouk was probably hurt and couldn't go as much. They were trying to pull him off, so they're trying to give like Bradshaw a start and stop singles run, or at least let him be an enforcer like Undertaker and Kane for Team WWF as they take on the Dudley Boys and Test. I've had a lot of controversy with Test being in the Alliance. I think that Test's spot should have been Mike Awesome from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. Watching this then reminded me that Test was still here, and it was a bit like, what is Test doing here? Because he is WWF. He's never had any alignment with the WCW. He's been feuding. He was feuding with Shane and stuff when he first came in. So yeah, it sort of didn't make sense why he was in the Alliance.
Yeah, Test and Bradshaw start out. Clothesline to Bradshaw, fallaway slam to Devon, big boot and sidewalk slam to Devon, flying clothesline by Kane, big boot by Test to Kane. Kane goes into the steps, power slam to Test, tag to Taker, boot to Bubba, clothesline from Hell to Bubba, last ride to Devon for the win. For this matchup, I went 2 1/4. It's fine. The WWF gets the win. Nothing too fancy here. Just your standard WWF versus Alliance tag team match here.
Yeah, I went 2 1/2 again. Just it was a good opener, really. Sort of just 6 big men just sort of beating the snot out of each other. They're putting over Bradshaw quite well. They're not sort of making him so Stan Hansen-ish anymore. I don't think that lasts too long, so I think they then try and get him to be a bit more Stan Hansen again next year. But yeah, it was a good match. Strange not seeing the Undertaker come down on his bicycle, but I would imagine it's probably because it was a 6-man tag and they just wanted to sort of get it over and done with.
Mm-hmm. Stacy Keibler is backstage with Tori Wilson. She asks what Tori sees into Jerry. Tori tells Stacy to mind her own business. Stacy challenges to Jerry versus Stacy's choice of a tag team partner, and Tori accepts on behalf of Tajiri. So they're really going into this storyline that Tori Wilson has finally jumped to the WWF after getting belittled by Stone Cold Steve Austin. They went like 2 weeks without it going unnoticed that Tori Wilson helped Tajiri win the WCW US title and was standing by him. And then all of a sudden Stone Cold just calls her out and starts yelling at her that she helped Tajiri win the US title and turned her back on the Alliance. And now we're getting Stacy confronting Tori about it too.
Yeah, it's just a nice segment, I guess, setting up a match for later on. Typical Raw of this time period.
Mm-hmm. Christian arrives to the arena, and he arrives in style with the Intercontinental title, and he's got the security guard with him, and the guy's like, "All right, Christian, I'll do whatever you tell me." And he's like, I don't want any ugly people looking at me. I want everybody to acknowledge that I'm the Intercontinental Champion. The security guard's like, whatever, Christian, okay.
Yeah, Paul Heyman got very excited because he saw the limo and thought it was Steve Austin, and then he wasn't disappointed. He was sort of even more pleased to see that Christian was here, and it's now the time for Christian to be a solo star, I think.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of Christian not being in the Alliance right away? If he was, then at least the Alliance would have a great WWF another great WWF singles title of theirs in the camp, because they don't have the WCW title. They don't have the WWF title. If they knew, why not just pull Christian in when he turns on Edge before Unforgiven to give them, we still have one of your WWF titles besides the hardcore title. I mean, they do have the European title as well. So a bunch of flip-flopping titles.
Yeah, I think it was probably also it's purely a WWF feud. It's not aligned with the Alliance. It's just, I guess, to keep the focus maybe on the WWF, and it does both guys sort of pretty well, I think, to just be left on their own dealing with each other. They haven't got to worry about interference constantly, they're interfering in each other's matches, I believe, but they don't have to worry about any sort of alliance kind of stuff. So I think it serves a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. The Alliance is backstage, and here comes Shane. Shane says the Alliance can't have the same night they did at Unforgiven. Shane says Austin grabbed the rope and that Earl Hebner didn't see it. And then Shane says the Alliance was screwed by Earl Hebner. Stephanie comes in and she thinks the Alliance is here to celebrate her birthday, but Shane says, it's not all about you and your birthday. We got screwed. And but she says that the Alliance needs to take a stand against the WWF. Steph congratulates Rob Van Dam and says RVD will take on The Rock for the WCW title. Not Booker T, but it will be RVD tonight. So Steph is pulling the strings on Shane McMahon for WCW titles, even though she owns ECW. And ECW doesn't have a world champion. So she's like, I'm going to pull the string, give my ECW guy a title shot against The Rock. So it's The Rock versus Rob Van Dam tonight. So Shane then says Booker T will challenge Kurt Angle for the WWF title tonight. So it's funny how Shane can make that title match for Booker T when he has no jurisdiction in the WWF as well.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit bizarre as well, how he can just go, yeah, you're doing this, but it's 2001 WWF, not everything's as straightforward as it should be.
Yeah. Now we have Tajiri versus Taz. Kicks to Taz, suplex to Tajiri, a handspring elbow to Taz, kick to Taz's face. Stacy kisses Tajiri, and Tori and her get into a little cat fight here. And then Taz gets the Taz mission for the win. I went 1.5 stars. Even though it was a short little feud match, anything with Tajiri and Taz is very, very good. So I went 1.5 stars, Luke.
Yeah, 1.5 for me as well. You can definitely tell that Taz is slowing down here, and not as good as their matches they had 2 years before this in ECW. But it is, Taz. I think Taz has he's not got long left wrestling, I don't think. But yeah, you can definitely tell that he's slowing down now for sure.
Plus, he's like he's the one mid-card Alliance guy that's still getting airtime and wrestling time out of all the WCW and ECW personnel here.
Yeah, he's kind of like the what's the word I'm looking for? He's very much in the ring trying to get Austin to do stuff, isn't he? And he's the antagonist. That's the word I'm looking for. I believe he's very much the antagonist. So they're using him for that. And I guess there may be. Is he commentating yet anywhere? I know I didn't hear him on Smackdown, but I don't know if he's doing.
He does.
Heat
No, he was doing. Yeah, he was doing. At this time, he was doing Tough Enough, so they would pull him for the finale of Tough Enough here. Like he's usually the commentator unless they want him for the Tough Enough tapings on Smackdown. Okay. Yes. Shane is backstage with Booker T trying to get Booker pumped up to beat Kurt Angle for the WWF title. And now we have Rhino versus Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship. Punches by Rhino, Karana to Rhino, spinebuster to Jeff. Rhino misses a dive. Clothesline by Jeff, belly to belly by Rhino. corkscrew by Jeff. Jeff misses the swanton. Rhino misses the gore, but then Jeff does a dive, but then he gets tackled right as he's trying to land it right into the gore. So Rhino catches Jeff Hardy midair into a gore, and that is the end for the pin. So your winner is Rhino. For this matchup, I gave it 2 stars. It was a great match. It was a good little match here, Luke.
Yeah, again, 2. The ending was a little bit sloppy, but they sort of made up for it. But yeah, it was a very good match. Nice to see Rhino in a decent position here in the WWF, being the US champion. I think previously he'd been hardcore champion and sort of been hanging around in that department. So it's nice to see, and it's also nice to see a sort of a young Corpus Mentis Jeff Hardy as well.
Yeah, they always had good faith in Rhino. He was in the main event at Invasion. He had a great match, even though he failed with Chris Jericho at SummerSlam, but they gave him the task of giving SmackDown the new stage as he gored Jericho through the old stage.
Mm-hmm.
So yep. I thought that was fun. They put a lot of trust into Rhino. It just stinks because we know what's going to happen to Rhino in November of 2001 with his neck injury.
Yeah.
And then now we have Lance Storm and Ivory are backstage. They're preparing for a 6-man tag match, 6 mixed person tag match. It's Lance Storm, Ivory, and Hurricane versus the Big Show, Spike Dudley, and Molly Holly. But Hurricane comes in to discuss the mixed tag match. Hurricane is ready to make Molly Holly his sidekick. RBD is backstage, and Canyon walks in. Canyon is worried about how mad Stone Cold's going to be at him, and RVD tells him to chill. So this is so weird. I feel like this was a weird backstage segment trying to make RVD like the leader now that Austin's absent. Oh man, I'm really upset. Like, what's Stone Cold gonna do? It's like, bro, who cares? He's not here yet. Why would Canyon be upset? Like, it's not like Stone Cold's just going to be like, I'm going to take all my frustrations out on you, Canyon, because I lost.
Yeah. Canyon had nothing to do with the main event last night. So, yeah, it was a bit weird. It was nice to see Canyon on television. Big fan of his, and he doesn't get the dues that he should do. He does by people that know him kind of thing, but he is a very innovative kind of star from back in the day.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was the former U.S. champion. He was given that title, but I really do think that the WWF missed the mark with Canyon here.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And it's going to add insult to injury when we get to his backstage segment with Lita.
Yeah.
Now we have now we have our 6-person tag match. It's Ivory, Lance Storm, the Hurricane versus Big Show, Spike Dudley, and Molly Holly. Hurricane is shoved by Big Show, drop kick by Molly to Ivory, knees to the back of Molly's head. Hurricane trips Spike Dudley, spinning heel kick to Spike by Lance, crossbody to Spike, Hurricanrana by Spike, clotheslines by Big Show, double headbutt. Ivory low blows Big Show. Molly go round to Storm off of the Big Show's shoulders by Molly for the win. And she pins Lance Storm as well. For this matchup, I went 1 star 3/4. It was fun. It wasn't really like a 2-star match. Like there were a couple of spots by the Alliance personnel here and there, but it was mostly like owned by the Big Show, and that Molly go round by Molly at the end off the Big Show's shoulders was awesome. So I went 1 star 3/4 here, Luke.
I went 2. Going into the match, I was sort of preparing the right dud because I just thought this is just going to be a 2-minute squash, just going to look absolutely ridiculous. But it was actually quite good. The women, when they got in there, the wrestling was very good. But with Ivory and Molly in there, you're going to expect a pretty good sort of women's section. It's not like you've got Stacey and Tori in there. You're going to get proper wrestling. So yeah, 2 nice match. Unfortunately, Lance took the pin. But I think Lance's push is probably dead. Sort of when he came in a few months ago, sort of being the big WCW starter, come in, and now a couple of months later he's in 6-man tags and he's sort of walking around with Ivory and the Hurricane. No offense, but he's definitely not the Lance Storm of 2000 WCW that we probably thought we would get.
Yes, and he is not here. So Shane is backstage now with Earl Hebner. Shane says Earl screwed the alliance out of both world title matches on Unforgiven. Shane points out that Austin's hand was under the rope, and Shane has a VCR. Look that up, kids, if you don't know what that is. And it was shown on camera that Austin's hand is underneath the rope, and I wonder if that was a scapegoat just to give Austin his rematch back as well. But it's going to take a little bit longer time to get the rematch too, because according to Austin and Angle, Kurt was not even supposed to win at Unforgiven. Again, they were going to go back to Austin beating him once and for all, but then 9/11 happened and they're like, we need a good happy moment, and it's like Kurt Angle's all USA colors, let him win at Unforgiven and we'll just give the title back to Stone Cold later.
Yeah, I was fully expecting them to bring up Survivor Series 1997, be it with Earl there and a dodgy submission and all that kind of stuff. It was nice to see that didn't get mentioned, but in the back of my mind I was thinking they're going to sort of bring this up because they always have to bring it up every few years. But yeah, it was nice. Again, the Kurt winning was definitely 9/11 related, similar to, I guess you could probably say, similar to when Sergeant Slaughter won the title in 91. That was because of outside happenings. It's very weird to think that you hear rumors of like Vince not knowing, or back in the day not knowing anything modern, but he'd quote things from 30 years ago. But when real life stuff was happening, he did have his finger on the pulse and was willing to change. All right, it'd be only for a few weeks, but he was willing to change trajectory to make things a bit more positive and a bit more America.
Yeah. Peace in the Middle East as Hulk Hogan wins in WrestleMania 7.
Yeah.
And then Shane just basically says to Earl not to make any more mistakes. So we have our WWF title match. It's our top of the hour segment here, as it is the WWF title match. It's Booker T versus Kurt Angle. Belly-to-belly suplex to Booker. Shoulder tackle to Kurt. Ankle lock to Booker, but Booker gets the ropes. Heel kick to Kurt. Flapjack by Booker. Knee to Angle's neck. Flying forearm to Kurt. Belly-to-belly and a German suplex by Kurt. Booker pushes Kurt into referee Earl Hebner. Booker hits Kurt with the title. Kurt kicks out. Angle counters a bookend. Angle gets Booker in the ankle lock, and Booker T taps. For this matchup, I went 2.5. It's always good when Booker T and Kurt Angle face off, and nothing changed between them two. They always put on good matches, so I went 2.5.
2 3/4 for me. Nice. Like I say, nice, fast-paced match. It's very weird not hearing "You Suck" when Angle came down to the ring, because we've obviously had that sort of programmed into our heads for the last 15 or so years. So that was different to see. Again, a nice sort of back and forth. Booker looking good. It was strange for me not having any. If you sort of missed the first couple of minutes of Raw and didn't watch Unforgiven, you'd have no way of knowing that Kurt Angle was the champion. There's no celebration. There's no interview. There's just nothing. Whereas like now, it would be thrown in your face. Obviously, social media is a totally different beast. But now there's, there'll be some sort of celebration angle, or there'll be an interview or something like that. That was really weird for me to see here. But yeah, the match was good, and it was nice to start the second hour, end the first hour with.
Yeah, I'm going to actually agree with you on that, because it's not yet a Kurt Angle segment of him winning of him coming out with the title. It's all about the reaction of what's Stone Cold going to do tonight. Is he even going to show up and bear the fact that he lost? So it's basically all about the Alliance trying to get back on track rather than Kurt Angle getting a celebration. Even though he does get a celebration at Unforgiven, it is wonky that he doesn't get an interview. Again, thanking the fans for like all of his support and cheering him on as he faced on Stone Cold or something like that.
Yeah, he could have come out and bigged up America, and I did this for everyone, and 9/11. They could have done something like that. But like I said, if you missed that first 30 seconds of Raw, we're an hour into the show, and this is the first time that Kurt Angle's been on the screen, which is just really, really weird. Whether or not, like I say, they wanted to focus more on Austin because they knew that something was going to happen in the future, or what, I don't know. But yeah, it's just quite bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Lita is backstage and Canyon comes in. Canyon asks Lita to spend time with him. And then Lita then says, "Oh, Canyon, you do have a speech impediment." So that's a little like insulting. Like everyone knew that he had a speech impediment, and I don't know why Lita I feel like she was fed that line by someone. It's like, "Oh, make fun of his speech impediment,"
Yeah,
it's like,
I've just got this has got Vince written all over it, because he seems to be the type of person that would just go, take the piss out of him because he's got a lisp.
Yep. So now here comes our new Intercontinental Champion. Christian gets on the mic. Christian says he is the superior brother after defeating Edge. Out comes Chris Jericho. So this is Christian versus Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental title. Very poorly executed in promoting this matchup, as it's just announced right now as they start brawling by Jim Ross. Oh, the Intercontinental title's on the line. So that's weird. I don't even think they say it as like on the ring announcement as well, that the following contest is scheduled for the Intercontinental title. But like I said, we have Christian versus Chris Jericho. Elbows to Christian. This will drop kick and a backbreaker to Jericho. Christian goes off the top rope. Jericho misses a lion salt. Christian hits Jericho with the bell for a DQ. I went a star on it. This is bad because, it's short. Christian is obviously playing the heel champion. Like, he can't really beat anybody on his own unless he cheats. So he's doing the heel tactics of, oh, I'm still champion, and I can beat whoever, but I really can't.
Yeah, I gave it 1 3/4. What it should have been, it definitely wasn't, but I guess it's just a rushed little angle. It's weird to think that in 2001 that these guys would still be wrestling now. They're still wrestling in AEW, and they're both in okay condition. I think Chris Jericho looks like someone's granddad, but in the ring they're both very good. And I was always a fan of Christian's solo entrance music. Was definitely rocky and of the time in 2001. And this match sort of was quick and just sort of led nowhere, really. It's just a bit of a...
Mm-hmm. Jericho rolls out of a concerto and puts Christian to the walls of Jericho. So Chris Jericho is sort of standing tall against Christian. And then if you were wondering if this guy was still around, yes, he is in 2001. It is X-Pac. If you didn't know, he showed up at Unforgiven to help Kurt Angle celebrate. You wouldn't know he was there at all, and he kind of points it out too. As X-Pac is backstage in Commissioner Regal's chair with his feet up on the desk, Regal goes, "What in the bloody hell do you want?" X-Pac wants TV time, and he's mad that he doesn't get any. And he also is mad that they brought him out only to celebrate with Kurt Angle at Unforgiven and not wrestle anybody. So Regal's like, "Well, you can fight me tonight." So X-Pac accepts. So we'll have a match between those two. And then we get another RVD segment. RVD's backstage, and Raven comes in this time. He says he is upset that he lost to Saturn. Justice for Moppy by Perry Saturn getting that win over Raven last night at Unforgiven. RVD tells him to snap out of it and that he's Raven, the guy who's always, quote, the Raven, nevermore. And then Steph comes in and is impressed with RVD giving the Alliance guys advice. Steph says that if he beats The Rock, he will be the leader of the Alliance. So Stephanie is putting in RVD's head that if he beats The Rock, he will be the leader of Alliance. But what about Stone Cold?
Yeah, it's all very much the same as the previous angle. Good to see Raven on television, and it's just more pumping up of RVD, which I think leads to places in the future. But yeah, it was okay, did its job.
Mm-hmm. And now we have so RVD is like getting into his head. Oh, the leader of Alliance. That sounds pretty cool. So it's getting into their feud of Stone Cold versus RVD here, but Stone Cold's nowhere to be found yet, so we'll see where it goes. Now we have Matt Hardy versus Canyon. Punches by Matt, moonsault by Matt. Matt bounces off the rope. Lita slaps Canyon, a neck breaker to Matt. Russian leg sweep by Matt. Leg drop by Matt. Hurricanrana to Canyon by Lita. Canyon pushes Matt into Lita, and a flapjack by Canyon for the win. For this matchup, I went 1.5 stars. It was short. A lot more from Matt Hardy than Canyon getting his shots in, but Canyon does pull off the win in a true fashion, where he shoved Matt into Lita, and then Matt is concerned. He takes his eye off of Canyon and the flapjack. So I went 1.5 stars. It was good.
Yeah, 1.75 stars. I thought it was going to be a quick sort of just a roll, a Canyon getting distracted and then a roll up, purely because of the segment with him and Lita, and I thought that was just going to lead into the match. But it was nice to see Canyon get a win. Matt Hardy's, I guess, a name at this point, obviously from his tag team run. It's not like he's beating a jobber of sorts. So Canyon is getting a good win here, and yes. It was a okay match. I could see these two having this kind of match, before the cameras are on, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And then we get a very close-up, wide shot of a returning Diamond Dallas Page. It looks like one of those weird, like, movie things, like where it's like the big head. And he's got like a really weird smile on, and he's doing like these self-promoting health videos of how to like yourself. It was just very, very weird. They're doing Diamond Dallas Page wrong here, Luke.
Definitely. Again, when you think of DDP, you think of the DDP from 98 with Savage, 99 and all that kind of stuff. And then he comes in as the stalker of the Undertaker's wife, and then it's basically downhill from there. But it was downhill the minute he steps his foot in the doors, basically, because that turns into nothing. This turns into nothing, and then I think that's it for his WWF career. But yes, it's very bizarre, very, very bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Al Snow is at WWF New York with the Tough Enough finalist. Luke, did you ever watch? Obviously, I don't think you watched the first run of Tough Enough, but did you ever watch the Tough Enough episodes when they aired on the network, or did you actually get to catch Tough Enough sometimes?
We got to watch it. Our wrestling mostly was on Sky Sports, but this was on Sky One, which is I don't know what you'd sort of best describe it as in America, probably like a NBC kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's the equivalent of Fox. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had it. I think I remember watching this. I'm pretty sure I remember like Maven and everybody. So I think I did watch this as the first run. I think we had the first one or two series over here, and then they disappeared. So they would, if I wanted to watch them again, I would have to watch them on the network. But yeah, I enjoyed Tough Enough. I was of 2001. I was 16, so my head was filled of becoming a professional wrestler at the time. And then you watch this and you think, no, I don't want to get shouted at.
Yeah, I always said if anybody got robbed, it was Matt Capitelli from Tough Enough 3. And it took me so long to realize that was the John Morrison who won Tough Enough 3 when he came out as Johnny Nitro. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot that you were the guy who won Tough Enough, and that's how you got your contract.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and there's none of these really have done it. Josh Matthews is still with TNA. He was with TNA recently, I think. Maven's doing stuff on YouTube. Chris Nowinski is doing wonders in the in science. Nydia, no idea.
CTE, yeah,
Yeah.
Nydia does a couple of appearances here and there. I haven't really seen her.
And Taylor, I think I looked, and I believe she's married to Chris Sabin. I think.
Oh.
I'm sure she's one of those sort of Detroit indie guys. I'm pretty well indies now, WWF, but I'm pretty sure she's married to Chris Sabin. But yeah, so they're all sort of still in and around, the public eye, so to speak.
Yeah, and then you had Tough Enough too with Miss Jackie Gata and Linda Miles. Linda Miles would become Shaniqua. She had a brief run with the Basham Brothers. I'm really surprised that they had Persona as a diva to see if she could cut it with the divas after that bad little tag team match in 2002. She comes back as Shaniqua, and I'm surprised they couldn't just like get her off of the manager's side of the Basham Brothers and bring her in as a working diva. So that was tough on her. Miss Jackie was Rico's manager, and then she actually married Charlie Haas. And according to like what some people have said, and Charlie went on record, it got a little messy towards the end. So it was like, all right, let's just end this, like right now. So Jackie kind of went off the deep end a little bit, and Charlie does coaching for his son, like his college and high school wrestling career as well.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. So now we have The Rock. He's backstage. He said he walked in and walked out of Unforgiven as the WCW champion. Rock says 25 years ago, Stephanie McMahon was born. The Rock says he would have slapped the doctor across the face for producing Stephanie. The Rock says that Stephanie interferes. He'll lay the smackdown on Steph if she gets involved in his match with Steph. Rock sings happy birthday to Steph. Happy birthday to Steph. You're a hoe with big breasts. So take the night off from hooking if you smell what The Rock is cooking. So a very good tune to for The Rock's catch phrase, if you smell what The Rock is cooking. A very good line song from The Rock here.
Yeah, classic Rock and Michael Cole just sort of standing there pulling funny faces. But yes, classic Rock, what we'd expect to come from him.
And now we have X-Pac versus William Regal. Knee to X-Pac's face. backdrop by Regal, spinning heel kick by X-Pac, clothesline by X-Pac, Bronco Buster to Regal, reverse neck breaker by Regal for the win. For this matchup, I went a star and a quarter. It was all right, but it just felt weird to see X-Pac, in this time frame.
Yeah, star and a half for me. The crowd really didn't care. It's weird with X-Pac. He had the two titles, because I always remember the cruiserweight, but there's one of them I remember him having, or one of them still been around, and then the other one I had no idea was still around. I thought that had been abolished years ago, but yeah, he's on television and he's here, and yeah, this match it's a match.
So now we have our main event. It is for the WCW title. It is Rob Van Dam versus The Rock. Steph comes out to support RVD. RVD counters a rock bottom, reverse heel kick and clothesline to Rock. Spinning kick to Rock by RVD. Missile drop kick by RVD. Suplex to RVD. Rolling Thunder to Rock. Rock backdrops RVD on the table. Spinebuster to RVD. RVD missed the split-legged moonsault. Steph slaps the Rock. Rock mocks RVD in a DDT. Sharpshooter RVD, but Steph distracts the referee. Rock grabs Steph. RVD staves Steph from a rock bottom. Steph pushes the referee into the ropes, which actually knocks down RVD on the turnbuckle as he's going for the 5-star frog splash. So RVD lands on his testicle area, and it looks like a low blow. And then RVD walks right into a rock bottom for the win. For this matchup, I went 2 3/4. It was a great match between RVD and The Rock.
Yeah, I gave it 3. Nice match. Mixed. The crowd were loving both guys. And when The Rock was up, they were cheering The Rock. When RVD was up, they were cheering RVD. It was, I think, one of the first, probably only the second or third match that went outside, which was strange to see in this day and age. But yeah, it was a nice match. Steph getting involved, you could see that coming a mile away. Yeah, the ending was a bit weird with her she'd been pumping him up all night, and then she cost him the match at the end. But yeah, it was a nice match, and it's good to see. This probably was their first match together, and it was good to see they're very two different styles, but it was very nice to see the styles mix well.
Mm-hmm. So not a good Raw for the alliances. Again, they failed to win one world title as Kurt Angle beat Booker T for the WWF title to retain it, and The Rock beat RVD to retain the WCW title. So let's see if SmackDown fans out a little bit better for the alliance here, shall we?
Yes.
We're live in Dayton, Ohio. It's Smackdown September 27, 2001. We're starting off with a WCW tag team title match here, as it is Kane The Undertaker versus Test and Booker T. So Booker T getting a little subtracted, brought down, as he's going to take on for the tag team titles here. Booker T is famous for the WCW tag team. So not a subtraction, reduction to Booker T, but he's been a main player. And this seems a little awkward, but Booker T is a mainstay as a WCW tag team champion.
Yeah, definitely. You think WCW, or you think Booker T, you think him and Stevie as Harlem Heat. You probably think that more than you would do his world titles. But yeah, definitely. You think tag teams?
Yep. Test and Undertaker start. Suplex to Test. Tag to Kane. Sidewalk slam to Kane. Leg drop to Booker T. Test and Booker gang up on Taker. Old school to Test. Low blow to Taker. Booker and Shane beat up Undertaker on the outside. Suplex to Taker by Test, flying clothesline by Taker to Test, swinging neckbreaker by Test, Taker and Test clothesline each other, tag to Booker and Kane, sidewalk slam to Test, choke slam to Test, Shane pulls Nick Patrick, Taker beats up Shane, scissors kick to Kane, Shane gets Booker a chair, choke slam to Booker T, Shane hits Taker with a chair, last ride to Shane by Undertaker, Booker hits Taker with the chair and pins Undertaker for the win to become the new WCW Tag Team title. So we have new WCW Tag Champions. It's Booker T and Test. For this matchup, I gave it 2 3/4, Luke.
3 for me. As again, I like sort of big men in the ring just beating the crap out of each other, and this is what this match did. It's weird to think that Test has only been wrestling maybe 2.5 years, and he's now in the ring with Undertaker and Kane, looking good, being put over. He was put over quite a bit by JR and Heyman on Monday. He's being put over by Cole and Heyman here as well. That's nice to see. The ending was a bit sort of chaotic, but it did well. And yes, possibly this should have maybe been KroniK had the match maybe have gone differently on Unforgiven. Maybe I can't see Test and Booker being in the plan. Well, I don't think there was any plans with the WCW titles, but I can't see Test and Booker T being in the plans. I think this could have been potentially a rematch from Unforgiven, and then KroniK maybe win the titles by Stevie Richards interfering in a similar way. But yeah, it's a nice little match, and brand new tag team title champions.
Yeah, notice how they said they don't even mention that Undertaker and Kane defeated KroniK. They just say Undertaker and Kane retained the WCW Tag Team titles at Unforgiven as well. Yeah. Recap of Kurt Angle winning the WWF title at Unforgiven again. Then we have a recap of Shane McMahon talking to Earl Hebner on Raw. And then we see Shane leaving in a limo with Test, Booker T, and Nick Patrick. So Stone Cold's not in the limo again. It is the limo was for the new WCW Tag Champions and Nick Patrick. And now Regal says the Dudley Boys will face Kurt Angle and The Rock for the WWF title. So if Shane McMahon can pull strings, so can Regal. So good on Regal to try and get justice for the WWF guys here.
Yeah, he's doing his job. He's the commissioner, so surely he should be booking matches. We saw him a bit on Monday, but we didn't really see him in a role like this kind of thing. But yeah, he's doing what he should do. The commissioner is there to lay down instructions from high above.
Yep. And then now we have RVD. He's backstage with Canyon and Rhino. Canyon says Austin trashed his hotel room, and RVD's like, "Oh, that's awesome." That's so weird for Canyon to say. Canyon thanks RVD for the advice as Rhino and Canyon have to prepare for a tag team match with the Hardy Boys. And it is the Hardy Boys versus Rhino and Canyon. Punches and clothesline to Canyon. Canyon throws Matt into the post. Spinebuster by Rhino. Suplex to Matt by Canyon. Tag to Jeff and Rhino. Whisper in the Wind to Rhino. Swanton Bomb to Rhino. Spinebuster to Jeff by Canyon. Flying clothesline by Matt. Rhino gets thrown to the outside after Matt counters a gore. Jeff goes over the top to Rhino. Lita low blows. Lita bounces Canyon off the top rope. And then a twist of fate by Matt for the win. For this matchup, I went 2.5. Very good performance by Rhino and Canyon. And I love the counter by Matt as he throws Rhino into the post. And then Jeff does the flip to the outside as well. So I went 2.5 on it, Luke.
Yeah, I went 3. Again, a very nice tag match, actually. Nice action. There's no sort of slow spots, really. It was nice. You got the flying around of Matt and Jeff. You got sort of the power and the well, both men are quite powerful, but you got the power of Rhino and Canyon. So it was a nice clash of styles. You got Jeff doing his flippy stuff to the outside, and Matt got a little bit of revenge from on Canyon from Monday. So yeah, nice match.
X-Pac is backstage with Regal. X-Pac wants a rematch, but Regal actually puts X-Pac versus the Big Show tonight. Christian gets out of the limo and tells the kid he can't have his autograph when the kid asks him for the autograph. I think he knew that was a plan. He's like, yeah, Christian's going to tell you no, but he'll probably sign something after the cameras go off the air. And then we have the Big Show versus X-Pac. Chops to X-Pac. Big Show tosses X-Pac onto Albert. Albert tosses Big Show into the post. Dropkick the Big Show. Big Show counters a Bronco Buster, a choke slam to X-Pac for the win. I actually went a quarter star on this. This was a squash. I mean, cheating by Albert, but that to no avail. It was really a quarter star match. Not even a good performance by the Big Show.
Yeah, I gave it 1. It was, again, a match. Didn't really show the best of either person, and just filler, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And then Albert beats up Big Show. Spike comes out and gives Albert a deadly dog, but then X-Pac hits Spike with a title belt. Steph is backstage with RVD. Steph wants to be in RVD's corner tonight, but RVD says no thanks. So a little tension from RVD and Steph Steph's just like, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do anyway. And then The Rock congratulates Kurt. Kurt says he knows a place that makes good strudel, but The Rock says, I don't like strudel, Kurt. I want pie. So Kurt says, you know what goes good with pastry, Rock, is milk. So they're having a little joke there that The Rock likes strudel, but he tells Angle he likes pie. So a very good, funny segment by The Rock and Kurt here.
Yes, it was a nice bit of a comical interlude between the matches, and it was, again, classic Kurt Angle and The Rock in 2001. So yeah, it was quite humorous.
Stephanie McMahon Helmsley comes to the ring, even though she was told by RVD not to come, but she does anyway. She goes on commentary with Michael Cole and Paul. She says she's the ECW owner and she'll do what she wants. Rob Van Dam versus Chris Jericho for the hardcore title. Hip toss by RVD, clothesline by Y2J, kick to Jericho. Jericho pushes RVD off the top turnbuckle. Ladder shot to RVD, suplex to RVD on the ladder. Jericho goes into the ladder and a rolling thunder on the ladder. Monkey flip into a chair by RVD. Jericho locks in the walls. Steph comes into the ring, walls on Steph. RVD goes into Steph, a bulldog and a lion salt to RVD, flying forearm to Steph, and then a Van Daminator to Y2J for the win. For this matchup, I went 2 3/4 because I find the finish a little wonky, especially with the whole Stephanie thing. She gets involved way too much. She just takes blow after blow, and it's just not good for RVD that, there has to be all this distraction from him getting the win here.
Yeah, 3 for me. Again, the finish marked it down a bit because it was all a bit, let's just, hurt Stephanie, basically. Let's just land on her and do bits and pieces to it. I guess it's a continuation of have they started the feud yet? The Jericho-Steph feud has started yet?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's sort of a continuation of that, and then obviously the issues that, again, Steph's backstage, she's pumping RVD up, but then when it comes to actually helping him, she's more of a hindrance. So yeah, it was a nice match, nice little hardcore match with your spots that you're going to get from these two guys. So yeah, it was a nice television match.
The Alliance is backstage. Well, they carry Stephanie to the back. And then the Alliance is backstage. Like, it's Tommy Dreamer, Chuck Palumbo, Mike Awesome, and Hugh Morris. They're trying to get Kurt Angle Advil and everything. And then Steph yells at Hugh Morris, go forget the water with him. And he goes, I don't even know where he went, So Hugh Morris kind of like laughing, like, where'd he go? I don't even know where he went. So that was a funny line by Hugh Morris.
Yeah, they sort of made everyone look like buffoons, basically.
Yes, they did. I thought that was a very funny line by Hugh Morris. Then we get another DDP self-motivation video that's so bad. We don't have to go into them. Christian.
No, the crowd definitely didn't like it.
Yeah, Christian then is backstage. He sees Edge looking for him as Edge is like, and the weird part is the Brooklyn Brawler. Oh, you have a match tonight? No. He goes, oh, you here to see the trainer? No, I just want my brother, So Edge is looking for Christian, and Christian just goes away. And then Christian tries to hire the APA, but they want nothing to do with him since turning his back on his brother. And then Bradshaw challenges Christian tonight. Now we have another tag. We have another match. It's Molly Holly versus Ivory. Hip toss by Molly, leg drop by Ivory, a drop kick by Molly, and a backdrop. Double headbutt to both divas, and then Ivory just pins Molly for the win. I went a 1/4 star on this, but a lot of camaraderie going on between Edge and Christian and Bradshaw here.
Yeah, I gave the match 2. It was actually a decent match. Again, you think sort of the women wrestling at this time, you think it's going to be pretty terrible, but it was okay. The crowd really didn't care about it. But again, it's not Trish Stratus or Stacey or Tori. It's not TNA, so to speak. But yeah, the match was okay. The angles beforehand, Christian sort of panicking, going to see the APA, and the APA refusing. Bradshaw wants a match, which we'll get to see in a little bit. What we also missed, thankfully, is this week coming up on Heat. It's Taz and Stacey versus Tori and Tajiri. That was a match announced for Heat. I'm sure that was a 5-star classic.
And then if you notice too, they're really setting up for what's going to happen with Molly, as she was wearing the pink outfit on Raw, and this time she's actually wearing a very light green outfit, almost resembling Hurricane here. So they did a good job as to set up what's going to happen with Molly eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Hurricane comes into the ring, and he takes Molly backstage, and then Hurricane whisks Molly into the Hurricycle. So Hurricane actually ends up taking Molly instead of Spike, and that goes totally undetected by Spike Dudley, as they just let Hurricane take away Molly, no questions asked.
Yeah, it was a bit weird when you sort of see him carrying her away, but yeah, it's just sort of into the Hurricycle, and then off they go. So I'm sure we'll find out in a few weeks where this is leading to.
Mm-hmm. And then Kurt Angle is backstage with The Rock again. Kurt Angle gives Rock his book. Kurt says to Rock, read the chapter where Kurt Angle beat The Rock for the WWF title at No Mercy 2000. And then The Rock goes, oh, well, where are the 3 chapters where I beat you for the WWF title at No Way Out 2001 Las Vegas? And he goes, oh, well, my publisher said we couldn't put that into the book. So a lot of funny stuff here from the Rock and Booker and Kurt Angle here.
Yeah, again, nice comedy segment, adds a bit of variety in between the matches. But yes, it was okay. Leads up to their I'm guessing they're trying to be nice, but also show that there could be a slight miscommunication between the two coming up in their match.
And now we have Bradshaw versus Christian. punches by Bradshaw, clothesline to Christian. Bradshaw goes into steps, drop kick by Christian, big boot by Bradshaw. The brawl goes into the back, and it's basically no contest. Christian tries to leave in his limo, but Edge was waiting in the limo for Christian, and they brawl. So I gave it a no rating. I did not rate this, Luke, because it doesn't really have a winner. There's no contest, so I didn't give it a rating. So nothing from there except that they're trying to continue this Christian versus Edge feud. It was kind of funny how it's like, oh, why did the limo stop? Whose hand is that? And it's Edge's hand.
Yeah, I didn't give it a star rating. Like you said, no, there's no point really. Making Christian look a bit sort of rubbish because he's having 2 unannounced Intercontinental title matches, and the matches are this isn't a match, but the Chris Jericho match was kind of a bit of a dud finish, and this is a bit of a dud finish. So his first 2 TV shows as Intercontinental champion aren't bearing much fruit for young Christian.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. And now it is the Rock and Kurt Angle versus the Dudley Boys, WWF Tag Titles. We're already at the main event, Luke. I'm surprised. I feel like Raw went on forever, but here we are, like already on the SmackDown one. There was more wrestling than there were backstage segments for SmackDown.
Yeah. When I got to the main event, I was like, "Oh, crikey, we're here already," and it's been, a very different show compared to Raw. I think that was the going on back then, because obviously Raw and SmackDown were 2 shows. They weren't as they were in the future, where they were branded. So you've got a continuation of storylines as we've seen all night from Raw. But yeah, it's very quick. One thing I did write down, I said that Taylor from Tough Enough Final married Chris Sabin. She actually married Brian Kendrick. They got married in 2008. So nice. I knew it was some indie guy.
So yeah, now we have the Rock and Kurt Angle versus the Dudley Boys, the WWF Tag Team titles. Rock and Bubba start off, back suplex by Rock, tag to Kurt, belly to belly by Bubba, clothesline to Rock, crossbody to Devon, clothesline by Bubba. What's up bomb to the Rock, what's up dive to the Rock, that's what I meant. Sidewalk slam to the Rock, belly to belly by Devon, German suplex to Bubba, Angle slam to Devon, Angle lock to Devon, Dudley. The Dudley Boys work on Kurt, chops to Kurt. Bubba goes into the table, double clothesline to Kurt, and Bubba tags to the Rock, flying clothesline to Devon, spinebuster, and a people's elbow to Devon. Test and Booker T return. They brawl with Kurt Angle. Shane takes down Earl Hebner, and then Shane beats on Kurt, a 3D to Kurt, and then a 3D to The Rock. Even though it didn't have a finish, there was no contest. Like, it was ruled a no contest. I thought they were going to have Nick Patrick actually come out and count the pin for the Alliance guys as a way of saying, oh, we beat The Rock and Kurt Angle, which would have been the best ending for them, for the Alliance to get one over. I gave it 2.5. It was good wrestling between the Dudley Boys and The Rock and Kurt Angle. Just bad that there's no finish, where they should have had Nick Patrick make a fast count and announce the Dudley Boys as the winners. But the Alliance gets a little revenge. They win back the WCW Tag Team titles with Booker T and Test, and they put The Rock and Kurt Angle through tables, Luke.
Yeah, go at 3. A very nice match. It's weird seeing The Rock take the brunt of the damage. I'm guessing maybe because Kurt was probably hurt or whatever. still, because this is in his time of niggling injuries and everything. But when he was in, they were focusing on the neck and all that kind of stuff. So they were forcing him to sell. But yeah, very nice match again. Like I say, at the end, we could have had a bell somewhere or an announcement or some sort of fast count or something. It's just like the Dudley's music hits and then that's it. We go black kind of thing. There's no like, oh, they've won, oh, they've lost. They, like you said, they could have done the Dudleys well by going, actually, they beat The Rock, or they could have pinned one of the world champions. Didn't have to go anywhere. It would have just cemented the Dudley Boys as, world champion beaters. We're not expecting them to go and face either one of them the next week on SmackDown or anything, but it's very, just a very sort of bizarre ending. If this was sort of territorial wrestling back in the day, this match would have then resulted in the tag team titles being vacated or something stupid, or it's just very abrupt and weird.
Mm-hmm. So the Alliance is standing tall on SmackDown, but they still don't know where Stone Cold is. So we'll have to see if he makes an appearance on the next week's shows as Raw and SmackDown, as we are getting into No Mercy 2001. And that's going to do it from us here on covering the Raw and SmackDown this week. But Luke, do you have anything that you want to direct the Place to Be Nation listeners to?
As many of you know, I'm here on the Place to Be Nation every week. Saturdays, I'm covering the Memphis territory with the Memphis Continental Wrestling Cast. Currently in 1985. That is going to be a very brisk year purely because of the footage that I'm watching on YouTube. Come the first Saturday of January, I'm going to be starting 1986 weekly. Every Monday, I'm doing either Hamburg All Stars, where I cover 1978 WWF, that's 3W, All Star Wrestling from back in the day, and then every other Monday, I'm doing the Monday Night Project, where I'm currently covering WCW Saturday Night, January to July 1996. I wanted to cover that because everyone thinks of 1996 WCW as NWO, but I'm trying to cover the WCW Saturday Nights in between. So I'm now in April of 96. Yeah, so I'm only a short time away from Scott Hall and everybody starting to come in. So that's going to be interesting to see. Every Tuesday at the minute, I'm doing Crossing the Mid-Atlantic, where I'm covering the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling show. I'm doing late 1981 in the time being, and then that's weekly until the first Tuesday in January, where I'll be doing it bi-weekly, because then I'll be covering Smoky Mountain Wrestling every other week as well. On top of Old Smoky is what the show is going to be called. They're all available on the Place to Be Nation. I've released trailers or sort of pilot episodes of Smoky Mountain that got released a few weeks ago. But yeah, so everything's on the Place to Be. And very occasionally I do a one-off. Recently I did because it was the 34th anniversary show, so it was the 34th anniversary of the show, I watched the 1990 Survivor Series, which was that was fun. I guess it's one of those shows you sort of watch. That was the first show I ever. That was my anniversary show as well, of being a wrestling fan. And you sort of watch it, and then you don't watch it again for 34 years, and it's a bit different to what you remember, but still a fun show. But yeah, so that's me. I'm on the Place to Be. You can hear me at least 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Luke. I look forward to On Top of Old Smoky. I love seeing the old Smoky Mountain Wrestling shows, especially where it's like where New Jack and Mustafa got their start. And I love seeing what Jim Cornette's got going on, and everything. So I can't wait to hear more on that. As for me,
definitely going to be. I'm covering the. Sorry to interrupt. I'm covering from the start. So I think everything's on YouTube. I'm covering the start, so it'll take me a while to get to the gangsters, but I think the pilot episode I did was the first show that they did from February of 92. And it's just weird hearing the music because I watched it on YouTube, and then the music, everyone's entrance music's playing, and it sounds weird. It sounds like it's dubbed over, but it's just because Rick Rubin was involved. They've just gone, yeah, he can deal with all that kind of shit. We're actually using people's real music.
As for me, you can mostly find me on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed. I have this podcast, and I have Extreme Resurrection on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, where me and Steve Riddle are looking over ECW on the Sci-Fi Network from 2006 to 2010. We are wrapping up 2007, and that's been a whirlwind. We're in December of 2007. Looking to cross into 2008. We're wondering how long CM Punk's ECW title reign is going to last, because he's been on and off with defending his title on pay-per-views. So we're kind of questioning where they're going with that direction. They're using a lot of more of the SmackDown talent on the ECW shows. They call it the talent exchange, where it's like SmackDown comes over and helps out ECW stars come out to help out on the SmackDown shows, as we get a lot of Kane coming to ECW, and he's going to be a mainstay on ECW for a time. And we also have the tag team of Jimmy Wang Yang and Shannon Moore challenging The Miz and John Morrison for the SmackDown title. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that as we get into 2008. Also, you can see me on the Place to Be Nation pop feed. I have a podcast called Whatever It Takes, a Degrassi pod. I don't know if you ever watched Degrassi. Did you, Luke?
No, it doesn't sound familiar, no.
Okay, well, it's about a bunch of teens in Canada. You know, it's like the Canadian version of Beverly Hills 90210. It's like, if they have that, then we can have this. Just basically a bunch of teenagers going to school and dealing with life problems. We're in deep season one. Season one for most of these shows are usually the lesson of the school lesson of the week, like the after school specials. But as we get into season two, they'll start picking up on the family problems and social problems that learning your lesson of the week at school,
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But that's going to do it from us here on Nation Invasion. I want to thank my guest, Luke Jennings. Thank you very much for doing this with me.
Thank you, James. Been a pleasure.
And we will see you next time. Be prepared as we, the nation, bring the invasion.